Okay, today we have a long self-defense video. I had a couple of friends of mine growing up who were actually massage therapists. One lives in California, one lives in Florida. They're ironically both named Jen. And no, they never gave me a massage. Matter of fact, they charged me more and use some of the methods I talk about today. I actually never had a professional massage before, but having two friends growing up who are massage therapists, I began to think about the danger that is potentially there. We talk about self-defense in the home, self-defense outside the home, self-defense in the car. I did a long video about school security, and a lot of people are not thinking about, what about self-defense for a massage therapist? And I know my ideas are really far out there. You're like, what the hell, Vinny? Yeah, my ideas are very, very far out. But don't forget, a lot of massage therapists are women. Some are men, some are women. A lot of their clients are men. Some are men, some are women. Okay, and let me just make sure this is plugged in right. Okay. I want to make sure the camera's plugged in a little way. It's not operating on battery, it's operating from the plug-in now. And the issue is, you might have a woman therapist with a male client. And this woman therapist could be 4'11" and weigh 85 pounds. And she could go into a room with a man wearing nothing but a towel who is 6'5", 280 pounds. And nothing might go wrong at all. Might be a totally pleasant experience for her. And then a half hour later, she might get a woman who's 4'8" and 75 pounds who attacks her. Life is that unpredictable. But there is an inherent danger when a person, in particular a woman, is in a room with the man she just met. He might be a guy she's known for 20 years, or he might be a stranger. So I wanted to go over some things that might come in handy. Now, most therapists learn in school, and if they don't, they learn on the job from their coworkers, that if any uncomfortable language is being spoken, it ends, they go. Leave, call security, call police, get them out of the room, whatever. But what if it doesn't stop at words? What if actions are taken? What if a fight ensues? The odds of this happening are very, 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 very rare. You may get this once in your career, God forbid if you get it at all. But we in this community, the firearm owners community, the self-defense community, we know that luck favors the prepared. Now, I want to talk about the setup. I got a whole list of things to run through. Surveillance cameras. I'm going to go on the record by now by saying you have a right to put a surveillance camera in your business. Ever go to the supermarket? Smile, you're on CCTV. It says right there in plain English. You have a right to photograph your location. It's your store, it's your office, it's your spa. You can photograph it and videotape it. You can videotape the entrances, the exits, the waiting rooms, the offices. Bathrooms are going to be a no. In order for you to get a surveillance camera in a bathroom, you need a warrant signed by a judge, and you better prove to that judge that terrorists making bombs in the bathroom. So bathrooms are going to be a no. Now the studio rooms, the session rooms themselves are going to be a coin toss. Can you film in there without the client's permission? If you're doing a treatment where the client is fully clothed, then odds are yes, no problem about it. If you're doing a session where the client is not going to be fully clothed, then there might be some privacy issues there. The reason why I have it is because in the aftermath of a critical moment, where is the evidence that you were acting right? Where is the evidence they were acting wrong? Okay? If you say he hit me, no proof, but wait a minute, here's a videotape, video camera shows him hitting you, that's evidence in court. But most therapists will not be able to have video cameras in the session room for the simple fact that you go into the session room, you tell the client, take off all of your clothes, put on this towel, I'll be back in 5 minutes. And for that brief period in time, they're naked. And if that's being videotaped, you're going to have a lawsuit on your hands probably. But you might have an incident where a guy did something inappropriate physically and ran away. You didn't catch him on camera in the room, but you caught him on camera entering and leaving the building. And that might be used to help identify him later. Now, in-house security. I highly recommend that every therapist in this world has some kind of security guard on duty. Because you never know when that one incident is going to happen. And a security guard on duty is going to reduce the chance of that incident happening in the first place. It's the presence. It's just, criminals don't want to commit crime when the authoritative figure is around. So you have a security guard, it could be private security, it could be mall security, it could be a retired police officer. They're going to think twice. I would. There are companies that make panic buttons, where you have a button in your pocket and you hit a button and it summons security, police, backup somehow. Sends a signal. In our local jail, every employee, whether you're a corrections officer or a janitor, every employee has a panic button in their pocket. And the panic button will alert backup in the event of an inmate escaping, in the event of a fight, in the event that that staff member is attacked. I would highly recommend you have a panic button on your person when you're alone with someone, for the simple fact that that is so much easier than running over to the wall and hitting a button. It's so much easier than opening the door and yelling out the door. And it's a lot easier than getting on a cell phone or a two-way radio. All you gotta do is hit that. Now, you might think, what if I hit the panic button by accident and the security guard bursts in? Well, yeah. When I was working in Sears one time, a guy accidentally hit the fire alarm. And the fire department showed up. Accidents happen. But would you rather the fire alarm not be there? If it's an accident, oh, I'm sorry, false alarm, I'm so sorry, excuse me, false alarm, I'm sorry, that happens. Now, setting up the room is critical. How do you bring the client in? Do you go in the room and have someone say, okay, you go to room 5, she's in there already? Or do you go out and say, okay, John, come with me, I'm your therapist today? When you bring the person to the room, stand behind them or stand next to them and deliberately slow your pace to keep them ahead of you. When I was in elementary school, where was the teacher? We're walking through the halls. Where is the teacher? In the back. Why? So that he or she can see who's fooling around. You want to get in the habit of not turning your back on them. And I mean for the entire time you're there. So you want to say, okay, room 3 over here, go in there, make the turn. Try to keep them in front of you at all times. Are you using a table for them to lay on? Are they sitting up in a chair? Are they on a floor mat? Try as hard as you can to make sure that their physical positioning allows for the door to be behind you. So you're here, they're here, door is there. Why? Because in the event you must leave suddenly, you don't have to walk past them to get to the door. It'll take an extra second or two to walk past them to the door if the door is that way, and on top of that, they might get aggressive. So try as hard as you can. It might not work for everyone, but try as hard as you can to set up the room, the furniture, the apparatuses to the point where the door is always behind you. You are always physically close to the door. What is the door? Do you turn the door and push it out? Do you turn the door and pull it in? That is critical because it takes a second more to open the door and pull it towards you. Also, if the person is aggressive, they can slam the door shut again. As opposed to if you push the door out, the door swings outward. That way it is difficult for them to grab it and pull it back in. Also, a barricade. For some reason, if they get aggressive and they get to the door before you, if the door pulls in, they can push a barrier in between it. And people on the outside will have a hard time pushing in. This way, if someone is on the outside and they need to help you, security guard, police, they can come, open the door, and they pull the door out. So, from your position inside, the door goes out, push. From their side, on the outside, it's pull. That way, if the guy puts a barrier in front of the door, if he takes a desk and shoves it in front of the door and locks you in, the police can just open the door, or the security guard open the door, and it doesn't affect them. The lock. Do you lock the door? Don't if you can. Why? Because it takes 1 second to turn the lock. And you have to remember to turn the lock. Under pressure, in fear, you might forget. What if someone bursts in? Oops, I'm sorry. It's so much easier to say, oops, I'm sorry, than to be standing there, pulling the door, and not have it open because you forgot to turn the lock. And there have been police officers that have been in shootings and forgotten to take the safety off their gun. That's why a lot of police officers carry a gun with no positive safety. There have been times where guys forget the door is locked, forget it's unlocked, forget to push, forget to pull. Your brain is turned off under pressure and you have less muscle skills and coordination. So having an unlocked door that pushes out and being close to the door may save your life. What difference does 1 second make? There are several people on this earth who will tell you that 1 second, in my experience, I'm a crossing guard. 1 second in their life was the difference between them going to school or home versus them going to the hospital. There are at least 5 people that will tell you that 1 second of my timing equaled them not being dead today. You really would be surprised how long 1 second is. Taking an extra second to run around the client who's not become aggressive, hoping he doesn't grab you. Taking 1 more second to turn the lock on the door. Taking 1 more second to pull the door in, hoping he doesn't slam it shut on you. That's 3 seconds. In 3 seconds, I can run 21 feet. And I'm the average person. In 3 seconds, I can have any one of these guns in my hand and ready to fire. Weapons. Do you carry a weapon? We're going to start with the handgun. Now, you can get a handgun that can, even a handgun this size, I usually carry with this 10-round magazine. The guns are unloaded. I'm going to put the safety on. There's no round in the chamber now. I have it secure for that. Brand new holster here. This is called an in the pants holster. If I put a jacket on, you don't see this. And this is a 5-inch barrel gun. This is an out of the waistband holster for the other gun. Unload it just for the safety of it. And one thing I forgot to mention, if you leave a client alone in the room, if you have a client alone in the room, don't leave food or drinks in the room. They might spike it. And check for subtle differences when you get back in the room. I forgot to mention that, I'm sorry. Now, a handgun is what we call deadly physical force, which means I can only use a handgun in a deadly situation. Now, deadly force is any force that is likely to cause death or serious bodily injury or loss of bodily function. Any shooting, even shooting in the foot with a BB gun, is deadly force. Any stabbing, even a little cut on the little finger, is deadly force. Knives and guns are always a last resort, period. You only use a knife or a gun for murder, to prevent murder, sexual assault, kidnapping, or deadly aggravated assault, which means someone is going to hurt you. And they're going to hurt you so bad that you're going to be in pain 10 years from now. Okay? If I grab your head and I slam your head against a concrete wall, and 10 years from now you still have headaches, that's deadly force. I had a professor who was a Virginia State Trooper. I talk about him all the time. His colleague, not his partner, but some other trooper from his state, once kneed a suspect in the groin during an arrest. He kneed the suspect so hard the suspect can no longer reproduce. That is not deadly force. And I'll answer your questions later. If you want me to, you can all contact me. I don't care. I'll talk to you. But deadly force is likely to cause serious bodily injury. If a client says nice boobs, that's not called for deadly force. If the client grabs you and pulls you, that's not called for deadly force. You have to honestly and reasonably believe that you are in imminent threat of loss of life. Very, very, very hard to prove. And you have to call the police, you have to get a lawyer, you have to fill out a lot of paperwork, maybe you may even have to go to full trial. I'll give you an example. You're a therapist, you're in a room, guy's laying face down, naked with a towel, only wearing a towel. Police come in. He's got a bullet in the back of his head. Room is immaculate. You're going to a full jury trial for that one. Another example. Guy's in the room. You're 5 feet tall, you weigh 95 pounds. He's 6'7", he weighs 290 pounds. Okay? He's got, let's see. He's got this knife sticking out of his chest. You have a busted nose, 2 teeth knocked out, and fingerprints all around your neck area. Yeah, that's about right to me. That's justified in my opinion. Because if I'm 5 feet tall and I weigh 95 pounds, and a guy who's 6'7", 6'8", weighs 280 pounds, if he starts gripping out my throat, I'm gonna think, yeah, he's gonna kill me. Yeah, he's gonna kill me. So, do you want to carry a knife or a gun? Well, like I said, depending on what you're going to be doing, working on the table, working on a chair, the knife or gun may not interfere. Now here's another example. Are you walking on the client? Are you taking the client, putting him on a floor mat, taking off your shoes and socks and walking on him? If you're wearing a gun on your body, whether it's in or out, on your body, as you stand up and down, where's the guy? On the floor. Where's the muzzle of the gun? Pointed at him. Even though the holster locks the trigger, and even if there is a safety like on this gun, and the safety's on, that is going to be a very serious problem, because I don't know anybody that would feel comfortable having you stand on top of them with the muzzle of a gun pointed down. A lot of people have shoulder holsters, which means they take the gun, put in a rig on their shoulder, put the gun under their arm, and wear a jacket over it, like a lot of detectives do that. And if you're standing behind them, the muzzle of the gun is facing you. Well, that's a little different than actually taking someone, throwing them on the floor and standing on top of them, in my opinion. And I'll tell you one thing right now, if your boss walks in the room and catches you jumping up and down on someone with this on your hip facing down, you're not going to have a very pleasant meeting afterwards. You're probably going to get fired. If you have it on your body during the course of working on a table or a chair, it may bump, it may bang into them. This attachment, you can actually take this attachment off, take this holster, and it has a special attachment where you can actually mount this under a table. You can actually mount this under a table. But, have it in the room already, but, you take the guy in the room, tell him, take off your clothes, put on the towel, I'll be back in 5 minutes. He's in the room with a loaded gun. Is he going to tamper with it? Is he going to find it? Is he going to freak out? What's he going to do? Well, okay, you carry the gun in your holster. You have this holster empty under the table. You go into the room, the guy's laying on the table, you take the gun out, and you put it under the table so that you're free, the gun's no longer here, it's now under the table. Okay. I have in the waistband and outside the waistband holsters for both guns. This is an in the waistband holster for my Glock. Totally safe. Okay. You hear that? So did he. You hear that? So did he. He's gonna know you have it. Is that a big deal to you? I don't know. I personally wouldn't give a shit. If I walked into a room and the therapist said let's have a massage, I'm wearing a gun, I don't give a shit. Probably show my gun if I'm carrying one. But some guys panic, they freak out, they jump up, they take it as a threat, they call the police. So, yeah. Guns are going to be a very, very iffy area. Knives. I carry this every day. You will never see me without this, unless I'm at an airport or I'm at some courthouse or some shit. But you will pretty much never see me without this thing. Okay, I always carry it to cut open boxes, cut open bags, cut open whatever I have to cut open, and as a last resort, yes, I can use it to defend myself. But like I said, stabbing is deadly force. You can put it in your pocket, and like I said, if the guy goes by the collarbone and starts choking you can stab him. This is what I call my home defense knife. I take this necklace. In the event of a home invasion, this necklace goes around my neck because I'm in my underwear in the middle of the night. This is my home defense gun with this 10-round magazine. If this gun is knocked out of my hand and I'm in a situation where I have to save my life, I can whip the knife out. It's a fixed blade, it goes right in. If you put this around your neck and you stand over me and spend an hour and a half touching me, this is going to bang into me about 20 or 30 times a minute. Especially even if it is under your shirt. So this you might want to carry in your pocket, deep down in your pocket, or have some kind of holster for it or sheath so you can actually clip it onto your belt. And yeah. So in his last resort, yeah, you can do that. Another home defense tool, defensive tool is keys. I can take these keys and I can punch you in the face and really mess you up. Could you do that? If you got a guy punching you, slapping you, kicking you, yeah. Quick word of advice though. When you go for the eye, last resort. Because you can poke my eye out with this key. If you poke my eye out and I'm blind in that eye, that's deadly force. So if I'm getting a massage and I grab you and pull you, and you whip out your keys and grab me by the hair and punch me in the eye with this and I go blind, I committed a simple assault, you committed a deadly assault. It's not going to look good for you. If I grab you by the throat, if I take your head and I slam your head on the wall or on the table, yeah. But it's like, unless I do it to you first, or unless you honestly think I'm going to do it to you, you can't do it to me. Very, very, very iffy. Now, my personal opinion, if I'm on a jury, or if I'm a prosecutor, if I'm a judge, and you're getting a massage, and a guy grabs you in an aggressive manner and pulls you, and you punch me in the face and knock his eye out, I'm going to sympathize with you. But if I'm not the judge, if I'm not the juror, if I'm not the prosecutor, if I'm not the police officer, I might not be able to help you. What is good? Force spray. And mine is expired. Yeah. Between gun collection, knife collection, comic book collection, student loans, I haven't had time to go out and buy new. You can carry pepper spray. Some states you buy it anywhere. Other states you gotta go to a police officer to buy it. Or some licensed dealer. Force spray is not deadly. You spray it in the face, it stings for a couple of minutes, you get away. You can buy a holster for it, so you can clip it onto your belt, put your shirt over it, no one sees it, very, very light. You can use it for simple assault. So if the client grabs your wrist and pulls you, and you grab him by the head and put this in his face, yeah, you're clean. Tasers. Tasers or stun guns, you have a device, they're not legal in every state though. You have a device, hit a button, it produces a current, hit the person, it shocks them for a couple of minutes and they're fine, not deadly force. Other guns like tasers shoot fishing lures out, prongs go into the body, they convulse, they fall down, not dead. Not deadly force, but you have to have a state that allows it. And a lot of states don't allow them. Okay? Bludgeoning devices. They have flashlights, which I don't have in front of me, unfortunately, that double as a bludgeoning device. They can punch, slam, head, face, chest, arms, wrist. They have blackjacks. They have collapsible batons, which are not legal in every state, though. Other devices that are meant for physically injuring people. And once again, last resort. Also, if the guy's laying there naked with a towel around him, and he's got 20 lash marks on his back from whipping him with a baton, and there's no sign of injury on you, okay? So, bludgeoning devices, I don't know if I would do. I would go with the pepper spray, to tell you the truth. If I were a therapist, I would get the pepper spray. Because they're legal in every state. Methods of how you buy them, methods of how strong they are might differ, but they're legal in every state. Not deadly. Close quarter. So, yeah, I would go with pepper spray. Now, when the situation occurs, we're taught to use the minimum force necessary to solve the problem. And then from there, we escalate. Someone says something you think is inappropriate. Maybe you should say, no, too far. Say you're sorry. Try as hard as you can to verbally solve the problem. That's not always the case. It's not the case with being grabbed, punched, slapped, put in a headlock. But if you can, try to solve it by saying, no, stop it. Say it in an authoritative voice. Say, no, stop. Don't be like, no. Say, nice and clear, stop. Like I said, you might be in a situation where you might want to leave the scene and say, you know what, man, you're out of here. Go on security and you're done. How do we do this? Simple. Therapist, the client is in front of you. Door is behind you. You're uncomfortable. Step away. Go to the door. Open the door, and with the door open, say, get out. We want someone on the outside to notice you have a problem. Because that way his shield of invincibility is gone. Because people know there's a problem. And you don't know if the security guard is coming. You don't know if the therapist's boyfriend is outside to pick her up and he's waiting for her. You don't know if the manager's out there. You don't know if there's a cop, an off-duty cop out there. So when you open the door and say, get out, leave the room yourself, by the way, yeah. Also, if the door opens out, so if you're on the inside of the room, you open the door and push out, client's on the table, he makes a threat. Take a step back, it's a threat. You want to call the cops now. Take a step back, open the door, push out, say, get out, or say we're calling the police. Close the door. Remember, it's closed. You're on the outside of the door now. Put a barrier in front of it. That way he physically can't get out until the police show up. But that's only when he's going to be arrested. Okay, if you think he needs to be arrested, lock him in, close him in, or he can't get out, and then call the police and say, this guy threatened me and I want to press charges. I locked him in the room because I was afraid of him. Locking someone in the room is a pretty big deal. But if you feel threatened and you're going to call the police and have him arrested, yeah. You want a scene to be made. You want everyone to notice something is wrong, sound the alarm. Maybe hit the panic button if you have one still. Now, let's assume the client's on the table and an attack breaks out. Now, this is in an attack. This is when a fight is going to happen. He's hitting you, he's punching you, he's threatening to hurt you. This is when you're in danger. You're no longer uncomfortable, you're in danger. It went from him sitting, him laying there, totally calm, to him actually doing something that makes you feel you're in danger. If he's on the table and the door is in front of you, you didn't listen to me like I told you to, run past the feet and run as far down as possible if you can. Why? If you go by the head, the hand, she might grab. If you have to, I would jump on the table and crawl over him instead of crawling under the table. And when you crawl over him, make sure you deliver a punch to the back or a punch to the back of the head. Don't forget, this is when violence has ensued. You're now defending yourself. You're now getting violent. But try as hard as you can not to go past the hands. And like I said before, try to make sure the damn door is behind you, not in front of you. You might want to grab his hair. You might want to punch him, slap him, headbutt him, face, head, an eye gouge, punch the ribs. Punching someone's ribs is very effective. They can't breathe. Slamming the back, slamming the vertebrae, slamming the lower back where the kidneys are, pinching the back of the neck. If you grab someone by the neck and start strangling them, they can die. If it's last resort, then do it. If it's not a last resort, try the Vulcan neck pinch where you just grab the back of the neck and squeeze real hard, a little bit. A little more meat back here, you can get a nice pinch on them. Pinch or squeeze the wrist if you can. If he's grabbing you, do this with the fingernail to the wrist. Or if you have a device, if I can take this pummel here, this device here, this is plastic. If I take this and I put it into your wrist real hard, you're going to be in pain. I'm not stabbing you, I'm just doing this for you, you're going to be in pain. This is also a bludgeoning device. The ankles, if you're down by his feet, grab the ankle or the back of the knee or poke. He's wearing no pants. He's only got a towel around him. Take this and jam it in the back of his knee real hard a couple times. Biting. Oh, flipping the table. You might not be able to do this, but if you can flip the table, even if the door is behind you and the guy grabs you and pulls you, can you get under the table and flip it over and knock him in the opposite direction and run? Last resort, biting. You don't want to bite because biting is nasty. Blood might get in your mouth. Yeah, no, it's vampire shit. But can you bite as last resort? If I'm going to die anyway, I would. Weapon, last resort is a weapon. Now, if the incident becomes physical, you must call the police and you must press charges. Because if you hit him, he might go out and he might call the police. He might go out and he might sue you or press charges against you or file a complaint against you. So if it comes to the point where you're using violence, you must press charges. And remember, you don't use violence unless it's got to be done. If he makes a nasty comment, say get out, okay? So if I'm sitting there, you give me a massage, and I say, man, you have a great fucking ass, baby. Oh my God, okay? And you punch me in the face, I made a vulgar comment, you committed assault, okay? But if I grab your ass and pull you towards me, now I'm committing a sexual assault, and now it begins. Yeah. Now, most states have what we call castle doctrine. I've done videos on that, where if you're at home or at work, you can defend yourself and you're not required to leave. However, some states do not. Now, I will say, and most experts will say, you should leave as soon as possible. Why? Even though the law says you don't have to leave, and even though the law says you can stay forever, what if he gets the upper hand? My opinion, use physical violence to repel him and get out. As soon as possible, get out, because you don't know how bad it's going to get. You don't know what he's capable of. So, as soon as possible, get out. And I've heard police officers tell homeowners, if you're in your own home and a guy is attacking you, you don't have to retreat, but I would try to for your own safety.